Thanks for reaching out for some information about investing in Oklahoma City. It is a wonderful city for sure. And obviously, I'm biased because this is where I live and invest. And I've searched several markets to try to find something better. And I keep coming back with the conclusion that, well, I guess we'll just keep rolling on in Oklahoma City. And obviously, that's not bad for me personally. But what I want to do in order to serve all of the people that I get to work with, add value to, and guide through the process of investing in Oklahoma City is I want to put together some things to streamline the process so that people can benefit from the boots on the ground expertise that myself and the others at Craftsman Real Estate have embodied and built, and we want you to benefit from that. So thanks for checking this out. I'm going to flip this around and walk you through the next step at a 30,000 foot view of Oklahoma City. And we're going to look at some different aspects to investing in Oklahoma City that we are constantly asked and find value in explaining to people that are looking to invest in Oklahoma City. So glad to walk through this together, and let's dive in. All right. One of the things that you should determine at the onset of investing is if you have any predispositions to a certain style of investing. Let me be illustrative in this. If you knew, because of your time at college, that you just wanted to do university housing, like that's your passion, that's your play, you had a great time, you were impacted in that, and you just know that it's here to stay, then you can do university housing. If you think that the military is one of the most sturdy, steady, dependable employers, and you like the tenant class that it produces, and so you really want to be focusing on investing in a way that blesses and is blessed by the military, all right, you can do that. If you are indiscriminate, like you don't care who the tenant is, just as long as there's cash flow, there's equity growth, there's appreciation, then you can do that. But if you do have predispositions to a certain type or style of investing, that will determine where it's most strategic or less strategic to invest. Myself, I invest more in the general category, but generally focused on young professionals and young families. And that's not exclusive by any means, but that we'll dig into that here in a minute. So if you are looking at university investing, there are three major universities in Oklahoma City, and then there are several smaller ones. We'll call the first one down here in Norman. Norman is the home of OU, where those Sooners love to say boomer. Edmond is the home of the University of Central Oklahoma, UCO. And then the third is Oklahoma City University, right here close to downtown. So between UCO up in Edmond, Oklahoma City University, OCU, confusing enough, right? And OU down in Norman, you have a very, very large student base. And if you sprinkle in Rose State College, MacU, oh gosh, there are literally a dozen other small colleges in the area, you have a very sizable tenant base that are in and around the universities. So if you like that, you should be most inclined to purchase in Edmond, in Norman, downtown Oklahoma City, or I would recommend staying away from the smaller universities as an exclusive tenant base. And then if you are attracted to military, if you want to piggyback off the base and participate in the awesome benefits of that employer, which by the way is one of the top employers in the metro, then it's a little less simple, because while the base is right here, it's kind of on the border of Midwest City and Del City. It is not as simple as saying, okay, buy in Midwest City or Del City. There's nuance to it, but another nuance that I would throw in there is that as a real estate agent, I know of a tendency for officers to live up here in far North Edmond, as far as over here in Northwest Oklahoma City, down here in Moore, some in Norman, some over here past Choctaw, Harrah, McLeod, that area. So there's a lot of mobility, and one of the things that makes Oklahoma City quite preferable in many ways, similar to Tulsa, is we are well served by a highway system, and a mile on the highway takes you about a minute. So you work here on this highway, you can be over here in Bethany in about 15 minutes. So that is one of the things that keeps our metro nice and tight, or actually spread out, because our roads will allow you to get across. But if you know you want cadets, you know you want enlisted and commissioned people as your tenant base, then you can't go wrong in some parts of Midwest City. Del City has fallen out of favor with investors over the last few years for a particular reason, that they have decided as a government, as a city, that they're tired of being a landlord city. So how do you counter the reputation of being a landlord city? You make it toxic to landlords. So now, in order to start your city utilities in Del City, you need to have a city inspection completed. And when is the last time you've heard of a city inspector walking through a house and finding no problems? Right. So it's not to say that deals can't be done or ought not be done in Del City, but proceed with caution. All right, so if you are hearing what I'm saying, you think, I'm not a university investor, I'm not a military investor, I'm just kind of a generalist. Generalists, if you're like me and you want to focus on the young professional, young married, like that age range or demographic range, if you will, then what we have seen in the trends so far in the last 10-ish years, 15-ish years, and now finally in Oklahoma City, is reurbanization. Now, who knows how long that will last? Who knows where we are exactly in that trend? There is a countercurrent trend of suburbanization happening as well, but still the vast majority of young professionals in the metro are deciding to live in the urban core, which would be down here, the highway just above the river, and up between 235, 44, and up here to like the village. So that can be called the urban core. That is where the vast majority of people who are working in town are choosing to live. It is a lot of renters, a lot of owners as well. It's not particularly known for their schools. In fact, just to be completely transparent, it has very bad schools, especially at the upper age range, which is why across the country, in most markets, we see the same trend of reurbanization until people are starting to have kids that start entering the schools, and then maybe you have good elementary schools, but then your high schools stink. So you start seeing those, as the kids get older, people moving back to the suburbs. We see the same thing in Oklahoma City. It's not necessarily the suburbs. Sometimes it's just northwest or southeast or southwest Oklahoma City. But in general, as those kids get older, people start moving north to Edmond, south to Moore and Norman, over to Bethany, or this cluster up here by the lake of northwest Oklahoma City that's called Putnam City Schools. All right, so if you said, no, well, my niche is cash flow. Like, I want a 2% rule kind of house. I want this thing to be throwing off cash flow that is just so lucrative, and hey, I understand it's going to be higher maintenance. All right, that's going to tell us that you're going to want an area with low property values and high rent, or a high RV ratio. High RV ratios are readily found down here in Valley Brook and a lot of the surrounding area. You can typically get a higher rent to value ratio in the south than you can in the north. I don't know why my labels are. Yeah, it's a little less clear. We'll go back. And so, yeah, higher RV ratios in the south than the north. Also, there are pros, there are cons. It's just a particularly well-suited area if you are chasing cash flow. If you're chasing appreciation, it doesn't tend to go hand in hand in Oklahoma City. You will find better appreciation in the north west than the south southeast or southwest, you will find far better cash flow in the southeast, southwest than you will in the northwest. So there's more nuance there. But that, in general, is a good look at Oklahoma City on the whole, and then the niches that can be explored within the city. Just for reference, so that you understand, when someone refers to northwest, northeast, southwest, or southeast, Oklahoma City and Tulsa, in a similar way, are built on a grid, and this I-40 that goes over to the Myriad Botanical Gardens there, that is pretty much the dividing line between north and south, and then 235 that goes up to 77 here, that is pretty much the dividing line between east and west. I say pretty much because it's actually, those aren't obviously on a grid, but northwest refers to this quadrant up here, from the Botanical Gardens up to the lake and out to the lake. Northeast refers to Botanical Gardens up to up 35, like that whole quadrant of the city. Southwest is Botanical Gardens down to Moore, which is down here. And then southeast is Botanical Gardens down to Moore on the other side, out to Del City and Midwest City. That's the quadrant system. So when people refer to the south side, they simply mean south of downtown, and the north side can simply mean north of downtown. So that's what we've got. Let's dive into the next question, which is, what's right for you? And so we'll save that for a follow-up visit or video. And I hope this is valuable. Let's do some great work together. I know that Oklahoma City is a good market. It is a stable, steady market historically, and one that is beginning to experience faster appreciation than the past, while not sacrificing the stability within terms of home value and rent. So stable is good in many ways, and we hope that it is a good, stable home for your investing dollars.